Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show after Arsenal have drawn 1-1 at home against Leicester City in an extremely frustrating game, it's fair to say. My thoughts are immediately, like my initial reaction to it is that I will take a point from that game considering what happened. I think that there's obviously lots of things that we're going to go into. We're going to go into with the help of my brilliant chat box as well, which I'm sure a lot of you are frustrated, as well as I am. Beast Titan sums up by saying we could have won that. And it's fair to say that there are a few people on the pitch that are going to be criticised. It's some people for missing countless chances, and we'll come on to that. Other people for making some silly decisions, probably because they're not up to the speed of the game, and we'll come on to that as well. But let's go through some of your initial reactions before I go through my breakdown and go through what our members are saying. So Matt Gray, one of our members, if you'd like to become a member, stand out in the chat box and get your comments focused on more often. And of course, get access to exclusive content as well, and some additional articles, and the chance to come on the show this Friday. The expert members, 3 of our fantastic expert members, will be coming on the show for the podcast on Friday night. So make sure you tune in for that. And if you want to join them in future, make sure you sign up to be an expert member. So Matt Gray says, was really hoping Laka could have pushed on from his goal against Wolves. And okay, let's talk about the Laka situation. I thought Laka, it's interesting because if we win this game, if we win 1-0, the evaluation of Laka is slightly different, because I felt that he did more in this game than he has done in previous ones where he put himself about a lot more than he did. He went in for tackles. He obviously had a fair few chances, one of which was a brilliant save from Schmeichel, you have to say. But at the same time, we haven't won the game, and therefore it is quite right that we turn around and say that Lacazette missed some very, very big chances. The shot that I talk about that Schmeichel saved really well, if he gets that down lower and into the corner, the goalkeeper can do nothing about it. The fantastic cross that came in from Bellerin, that one was obviously one that should have been put away from the header. He had chances to score and he just didn't take them. It kind of reminded me of that Olivier Giroud home game against Monaco, in a sense, where it doesn't matter what you do, he's not going to score. And then, of course, comes on Eddie Nketiah and doesn't spend too long on the pitch because he ends up getting sent off. But we'll come on to that. So let me see what you guys are saying in regards to Lacazette in the chat. Manoj P, another one of our members, says Lacazette needs to be more clinical. Beast Titan says, like, seriously? 3 clear-cut chances Aguero would have scored all of those. It's probably a fair assessment. Carl Halberg says, I want to be mad, but I can't. I saw enough to make me happy before the red. And that's pretty much where my head's at, is that I think it's a performance where we absorbed so much pressure. And you probably could quite rightly criticise that we faced a Leicester team that didn't have Ricardo Pereira. It didn't have Ben Chilwell. It didn't have James Maddison. 3 massive players. It's almost like Arsenal not having Aubameyang, Pepe and Saka not in their team. Obviously different positions, but I'm talking about the importance of those players on the pitch. And it was frustrating that we didn't take advantage of that more, although you could argue that we created enough chances to easily win the game and we didn't put them away, which is a real shame. But there were so many positives on that pitch. Kieran Tierney was so good that game. Kieran Tierney was really, really solid in the game. He was crossing fantastically. He was defending brilliantly. Dani Ceballos had an amazing game as well. And every single game, he becomes more of a player that I wish we'd seen throughout the season. And it makes me think, is it worth, if we have the available funds, to sign him or possibly go for a loan with an option to buy at the end of next season? Because if Ceballos continues to put on these performances for the rest of the season, it does go to show what a player that he can be, especially in a system where he knows what he's doing. And I think Ceballos just needs to be in a system where he clearly understands his role. And I think that is what Arteta gives him. So the Ceballos argument will rumble on to the end of the season. I'm intrigued to know what will happen beyond that, because Arteta keeps bringing up about discussions between the club and Real Madrid. So that's a really intriguing sort of episode of what's going to happen this summer. Owen Young says, classic case of not taking our chances. Seriously thought the Vardy goal was offside even with VAR, both Vardy and Perez. Vardy definitely wasn't offside. There was no chance in hell Vardy's offside. The only part of him that was offside was his arm, which can't be offside. The Jose Perez one is slightly different, and it can be taken two ways. One of those is obviously if he touches the ball, then I think it's given offside. However, he doesn't touch the ball. It's very clear to see the ball doesn't change direction. There doesn't seem any form of a deflection. And then the other side of the argument is does he interfere with play and put off Martinez? Now, if you look and if you watch them in the game, what they did was they replayed over and over and over again Martinez's movements to see if he reacted to what Jose Perez did, and he didn't. Martinez just followed the ball across the goal to Vardy, but he obviously couldn't get far enough across to block the shot. Speaking of Martinez, I think it was absolutely an amazing performance from him again. The only thing that he couldn't do anything about was obviously their goal. He couldn't get over in time, but he saved shot after shot. There was a fantastic save from Iheanacho in the first half, and there's a couple of other chances as well that he did really, really well for me. And he's really looking like a goalkeeper that we can rely on. He's so consistent now that there is no argument that there's strong competition for Leno when he comes back. How good is Emmy, says Carl Halberg. Beast Titan says, yes, rolled off his shoulder into the net. Ronaldo does it all the time. I'm not sure what that's in relation to, so we'll skip past it. Matthew Disclosure says, Gary Lineker tweeted, Nketiah was a nothing challenge and no red card. Well, to be honest, I don't really listen to too much of what Gary Lineker has to say. I disagree quite a lot. And this is certainly one I disagree with, because for me, it was a red card. It was a red card. And the only way I can see anyone thinking it wasn't is because of bias. And it's not me degrading an opinion. I just don't see how you can't think it's a red. He's late. His studs are showing. He goes down. It's a downward lunging motion with his studs onto the leg because it's late. And that is going to be a red in the modern day. You might say that 10 years ago, not even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it isn't a red. But the game is different now. And he was so late to the ball. He left his leg there, studs moving downwards and upwards towards the player. And that is always going to be a red card. It's just how the game works. And you could tell, and in slow motion, sometimes it does look worse. But actually, if you looked in the video that they showed, I think it's Justin that he tackles, that his leg gets pulled away very quickly in reaction to being hit. And it's just... I don't get how it isn't a red card, or how people don't think. There's all this big argument about he was going for the ball, but there's lots of red card challenges where players go for the ball and don't get it, and instead implant their studs down on a player like Eddie did and get a red card. Let's see what some of you guys are saying in the chat. It's fine if you disagree with me. It's all about opinions. Harry Robinson says, I'm so annoyed, although a draw isn't as awful result. Just the circumstances make it an awful result. It is frustrating. I agree with you. Alex Seedhouse says, you going with a leg high like that, there is going to be consequences. Avon says, Eddie shouldn't have made that sort of challenge, but he's been very unlucky to have been late. If he'd done Vardy for the season, it would have been a much better challenge. That's just sadistic. Rydog, sorry, mate, I just missed your comment. Where's it gone? Let me find it. I don't leave people's comments behind. I actually might end up doing. Here we go. Tom, the ref gave him a yellow. VAR pausing it on the impact of the game. It's not always going to be red cards. VAR changed it, not the ref. No, the ref changed it. The ref went over to the monitor and changed it. He looked at it. It took him a second. That's how you know these. I mean, we moan at refs a lot, okay? But refs on the pitch have split seconds to make a decision, and they get quite a lot of them wrong. But the thing is that he goes over to the monitor, and you can tell in just a split second of seeing the downward motion of his studs onto Justin's leg, it is a red, and that's why the referee went for that decision. It's if people disagree with it very easily, and I get it because he's going for the ball, and that's always what's going to be on. But he doesn't get the ball, and his studs go down onto the player's leg, and it's just a red. And we were having a discussion in our WhatsApp group, and everyone on the WhatsApp group that was in the discussion was like, we don't really see how anyone could say it wasn't a red card. It's dangerous foul play. That's what it is. I just don't really. I think we should probably move on from this because my opinion's not going to change on it. It's clearly a red card for me, and that is what it is. Harry Robertson says Vardy had to score somehow, didn't he? He always does. Yeah, he's incredibly annoying. Matthew De Souza said, Tom, they should watch it in real time. It doesn't matter if they watch it in real time or in slow motion. It's the acts that they're looking for. The motion of him is studs going down on the player. It doesn't matter if it's in real-time speed or slow motion. It's as simple as that. Vardy was offside, says Adil. No, he wasn't. He definitely was not offside. And if anyone can show me an image showing that he was offside, please do. But he wasn't. They used the lines and they used everything. Jose Perez, for me, doesn't do enough to change. He doesn't touch the ball. There's no way he touches the ball if you watch it back. Absolutely no chance. So it was a good goal, unfortunately, and we just absorbed so much pressure throughout the whole game that eventually it was going to tell. Let's try and focus on some positive side of things. If you'd have said to me before the two games against Wolves and against Leicester that we were going to get 4 points from those games, I probably would have assumed that the 3 points would have come against Leicester. It hasn't. But for me, 4 points in those two fixtures against two teams that are currently above us in the table that have been performing better than us all season, I think is a decent return. Yes, the circumstances of the 4 points where we dominated parts of the game and we created a lot of chances and we should have been more than just the one go up will change people's minds and affect how people look on it. But I think that 4 points from those two games is a really solid return. I think that we're seeing much better in-game management from Arteta throughout these games as well. You look at the difference between what Arteta was doing against Brighton and now what we're seeing in these games. I think the changes are correct. I think that we did what we could. It was right to bring Lacazette off because he was missing so many chances and you would have hoped that Eddie Nketiah would have been able to put one away. I kind of would have rather have seen Pepe come on for Saka instead of Willock. I don't like the Willock-Saka substitution. I don't know if it's just because I'm not Willock's biggest fan. I really struggle to sort of see how much he adds to the game. And I feel like Pepe would have given us more than what Willock would have done on that side and probably been a bit more lethal. But you can't... I agreed with the Nketiah substitution. It was the right one. Bringing Terrell for Ceballos was the right substitution. Bringing Ainsley Maitland-Niles, or Mainsley as he's better known on this channel, on for Albert at the end was the right decision. So other than the Pepe Willock thing, I have no criticisms of the substitution whatsoever in their timings. I thought they were absolutely fine. So no issues there. I had a super chat, which I'm going to throw into. Chris P says, replay showed he touched the ball, dude. I watched the replays. He didn't. He didn't touch it. Show me back. Tweet me at the Gooner Talk TV with the videos. Show me where he touched it because I just don't think he did. I watched it back. I rewinded it. I watched it back, and it just doesn't look like he touches it. The ball moves when it hits the ground and spins back off. It doesn't move when it's touched because it isn't touched. So yeah. Owen Young says KT strike though. Get me a Scotch egg. It was a fantastic strike. Which nearly led to us conceding earlier on with a fantastic ball upfield from Schmeichel. Manu Clerk says, Tom, you can see the water splashing off the ball. It hits the ground. It hits the ground there. The ground's wet. I don't get this. I don't understand what people see, and I don't. I get really frustrated when people can see things or can't see things that I'm not seeing, especially when I can't watch it back right now. But I can't see it. But please tweet me the videos at the Gooner Talk TV. And I'll happily have a debate with you over there, 100%. Matt Gray, positives. Positives were Kieran Tierney did fantastically. Ceballos did really well. Emi Martinez is really good. Mustafi was solid. Again, it was only till right at the end, and there was not much he could do about the cross that came across the box. But Mustafi was really good. He was in the wars today. He got hit in the face by Vardy's boot. And ultimately, he had another really solid game. Kolasinac, I thought, was okay as well. I thought Kolasinac did quite well. Saka, amazing assist with his right boot, sat Evans down, fantastic. Aubameyang scoring again, keeping up his scoring record. Of course, Vardy scoring means he's kept that 2-goal buffer up. But for me, it's... and a relevant gamer says Vardy booted Mustafi in the face. This is what I mean about bias. There is no chance in hell that Vardy intentionally gets Mustafi in the face. He just doesn't. He just doesn't do it intentionally. It's never a red card. It's completely accidental, and it's as simple as that. Matt Gray's positives were that Tierney getting even better, Alba with another goal, Martinez was great, and we defended well. And we defended really well all game. There was the only one time we didn't was when we conceded, and that was mainly down to the biggest thing being that we aren't stopping crosses. That's my only real big criticism of Arteta's play right now, is that we're not stopping the crosses. And by not stopping the crosses, we're really struggling to deal with the balls coming into the box. Chris P says, sorry, talking about the offside goal for Leicester. Yeah, but it wasn't offside. I don't know. You keep paying me, Chris, to argue, but you can do it for free over on Twitter. But I appreciate the donation. Rydog says, Tom, if you pause the video when Vardy's boot hit Mustafi in the face, it doesn't have to be intentional. If you pause it, it's a boot in the face. Do you understand? I do understand. But they're both falling to the ground. He's not in control of where his legs are going there, and it's completely accidental. PMHK says Tom Perez might or might not have touched the ball, but I thought since he interrupted with play, he could have been given offside. The difference with that one is because Martinez, they watched the video back, you could see them replaying it, and Martinez doesn't react at all to Perez's movements. And so because he doesn't react, he hasn't been influenced by what Perez has done, and he's following the ball across the box. So I think that probably would have made up the officials' minds as to why he didn't interfere with play for me. Harry Robinson says, Arteta has improved our in-game management hugely. I'm also a big fan of Willock, but I don't think he is being used correctly as a sub. I agree with you. I don't like the Saka for Willock's substitution at all at this stage in time. Anthony Michaels says Saka was knackered. No pressing and was balls. I'm watching second half and Pepe doesn't press or defend like Willock. No, he doesn't, but I just think he provides a better outlet than what Willock does if you're going to take Saka off for him. I don't mind Willock playing if he's going to be playing in the right position. But if you bring off Saka, Willock's got to do so much on the right-hand side, and that's where my criticism of that sort of change comes into. Euro says, is the chance of Balogun? No, it's not. Lacazette's going to come in and play. You might see Balogun on the bench. Probably not, but you might. I just don't think. I think people are massively putting a lot of pressure on that young Balogun kid, and it's just all of a sudden because he might be leaving that people are panicking now. Harry Rollo says, wasn't a red. From the other angle, he barely even touched him. Actual disgrace from the referee and the VAR. Again, I disagree with it. I think it was 100% a red all day long. Mike Hernandez, who is also coming on the show on Friday, looking forward to that, says, has Willock been playing right wing? Thought he has always been a central midfielder. He has, but the thing is, because when he gets taken off for Saka, there's so much space on the right-hand side, he naturally gets dragged out there. And that leaves us quite open as well, because his positional sense is not as strong as it should be. Pramod says, you can't expect to win when you can't finish the chances. It's probably a really well-placed position and comment to end the show. That sums things up perfectly. Positives were that we got a point in the end of the day in a game where we missed loads of chances, that Leicester pressured us very, very highly. It is definitely a fair result for me. I think a draw is a fair result. It's frustrating because we could have come out of a win, especially if we'd have taken some of our chances. But again, massive performances from Emi Martinez, Tierney, Ceballos, Mustafi, Saka, Aubameyang. Really pleased with lots of performances on the pitch today. Going into the North London derby, I am still confident that we can get something out of it. Spurs played against a very, very poor Everton side and struggled in that game. I'm still confident. I'm looking forward to the game against Spurs. Fingers crossed we can get something out of it. But until then, I've been Tom. Please follow us over at the Gooner Talk TV. I'm saying like I've been Tom because we had Wolfgang on the show on Monday. And I can't pull it off. It's not like me going, it's been Wolfgang. I can't be like that. It's been Tom. It doesn't work, does it? But it's been a pleasure talking to you. If you want to carry on the discussion over on Twitter, tweet me at the Gooner Talk TV. Always up for a discussion. But other than that, I'll see you tomorrow for the podcast, 8:30. Got some fantastic guests on. But other than that, it's been a real pleasure speaking to you. And as always, up the Arsenal.